Hey guys, how's it going? Kermode here. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about what I consider to be the best way to get Spotify followers in 2020. I'm talking followers, I'm not talking listeners. So these are not people that listen to your song in a playlist once and boost that number. I'm talking about people who actually follow your Spotify page and are around for future songs and existing songs. Now, I've tested a lot of different ways of growing a Spotify. I've done the organic route, which I've done a video on. I've actually done 5 tips for Spotify. I've paid PR companies to pitch my music to blogs to try and get in their playlists or just try and get a listening base from that blog's following. I've paid for Facebook ads. I've paid for Spotify playlisters. I've tried everything, and even then, I still find Spotify has been my hardest platform to grow. Unlike SoundCloud, unlike Facebook, unlike these platforms where you can be social, you can build a community, Spotify is almost entirely based around these Spotify playlists and the playlisting feature, as well as their algorithms. And it's kind of this catch-22 situation where if you don't have the plays, you're less likely to be recommended to people, and then those people aren't even going to hear you, therefore you're not even going to get inside their playlist, therefore you're not even going to end up in the algorithm. It's this kind of snowball effect, and until you get that snowball rolling, it's kind of a hard game, and that's why Spotify has been something I've actually always struggled with in terms of growth. So with all that in mind, I feel like I've discovered the best way to grow Spotify followers in 2020, and this is through a website and a service called ToneDen. I should preface you guys, ToneDen is not paying me to say this. They're not giving me a sponsored affiliate link, anything like that. They did, however, give me a pro account just so I could test it out. So I did have a pro account to test out this feature, and this is a feature where you do have to have their pro account to do. However, I think it's really worthwhile. It's a really good service. So what ToneDen is it's kind of like an advertising platform for artists and event companies. And they have some free services which I've been using for several years, and that's how I knew about them. I've been using their fan links, their social unlocks, and I believe you can even get contest features with a free account. I've been using their service pretty much since day one, and anytime I've talked about growing social media platforms in the past, I've talked about using fan links and I've talked about using social unlocks or download gates in the past. So I've actually brought up ToneDen before, and I've always been a fan, so I was really excited to try out their paid features because I thought they were going to be pretty good, and they really did not disappoint. So the paid feature I was using is something known as their Playbooks on their advertising backend. So what their advertising backend is they have an advertising platform that essentially takes over Facebook and other advertising for you, so you don't have to figure out how to do it. You don't have to figure out how to optimize it. You don't have to split test all these different ads, which is something I've struggled with and wasted hundreds of dollars on in the past. And they optimize your ads for you through algorithms and their own system. So this is where their advertising backend and their playbook comes into play. So they have this new playbook called Spotify Growth for Artists, and this is what they actually told me to test out. This is their new feature to essentially grow your Spotify followers. And how it works is they split test and run an Instagram swipe up ad that you create yourself and upload to their website. And their algorithm helps you identify the target audience, and then it optimizes that target audience to get you the cheapest amount of following possible. So I tested it. What I did is for 5 days, I spent $20 a day, and I advertised a song called Boss Battle, and I'll show you guys the piece of creative I used right here. So I used only that piece of creative. I didn't create another one, and I only spent about 20 minutes making that out of a previous video I had previously made. I just cut it up, and I put the song to it, and I added the little logo and the swipe up. I uploaded it, I ran it, $5 a day. I'll show you in a minute how it picked the audience, and these are the numbers I got. So I managed to get over 700 followers in 5 days, spending $100, and I think it ended up being roughly on average 13 cents a follower. On top of that, the song got 550 saves, and I got plays across the board. So this was really exciting to me because, again, I've worked with PR companies where I've spent thousands of dollars a month for them to place my song in blogs, which never even really converted to numbers or a following anyways, which felt like a big waste of money. I've paid for Facebook ads and Instagram ads constantly and lost money. I've paid for people to pitch my music to playlists for me, although that still can lead to rejection and less than stellar results. So what's cool about this is really all you need is a good song, a good piece of creative, and a bit of money. And the numbers really speak for themselves. I think over 700 followers for less than $100 is incredible. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to keep running this, and I'm going to see how cheap I can get myself to 10,000 followers with my already 2,000 followers I had previously before starting all of this. And really, that should be cheap. That should be about $1,000 if I do my math right, for me to essentially end up with a number which is enough to build a career off of. And when I say build a career off of, I was applying for festivals this summer and I was trying to get billings, and I would end up with low billing on a couple of these festivals because they said my Spotify numbers just weren't good compared to everyone else. So a lot of these promoters aren't even looking at SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram anymore. They're looking at Spotify numbers. And this gives you real Spotify numbers. These are not bots. These are not random people. These are people who heard your song on Instagram, liked your song, swiped up, went to your account profile, and followed you. So all in all, it's so far really good. But let me show you guys a little bit more of how it works and you can kind of decide for yourself. So right here, this is the Playbook section of their website. And what these are they're kind of pre-made advertising campaigns, so you don't have to come up with these strategies. You can see this strategy combines Spotify, Facebook, and Facebook Messenger to promote an upcoming release and get saves. This can promote a contest for you through all these platforms. But what I did was this one here, and this is the only one I've tested so far. This is their new one, and it worked quite well. So how it works, we're going to click it here. Brings you to this page where I've already set up my Facebook advertising. I've already picked the page it's coming from, and I've already picked what Instagram page this ad is essentially going to. So from here, you set the schedule. How long is this ad going to run for? And from here, this is where the algorithm comes into play. So you select your Spotify profile. This is where the ads are going to run. But this is where some of their algorithm comes into play. So what I can do is, let's say, for example, my song sounded like Skrillex. So if I type in Skrillex here, what it does is it then populates interests down here related to it that are going to get me some good interaction overall. Now you do have to do a little bit of correction because this is algorithm based. So I think this is supposed to be feed me, but it says feed me oil, so delete that. Maybe I don't think Flostradamus really relates. Maybe I don't think I don't know, let's say Zomboy relates, hypothetically. So you can delete it, but you can also add more. Let's say it's also a melodic song, so Flume, but it also kind of sounds like Elenium. Type it in, click, and it generates these for you. So if I were running this ad on my own on Facebook, I would have to create these interests on the back end, and I would have to split test and run all these different ads to kind of optimize that. Well, this is going to do it for you, and this is why I really liked it, because it saved me doing all that. And let me show you really how quick this is to set up. So you pick the area. I'm going to do global. You modify your budget, so you say how much per day. It says between $2 and $9 Canadian. Again, I ran one for 20, and I think you can do maybe as little as 2, maybe as little as 5. I'm not really sure, but you don't have to spend a ton of money on these ads. Then on this page here is where you upgrade the creative. So if you remember the piece of creative that I showed you, that swipe up ad, this is where you're going to upload it, and you can upload multiple ones. And I'm almost certain what it does is it actually split tests those ads, sees which piece of creative gets the most likes for you, and then starts pushing that one above the others. So this is also something that you would have to kind of manually do yourself on Facebook, and you don't have to do that. It optimizes it all for you. And again, when I ran mine, I did it with one piece of creative. I recommend doing maybe like 2 or 3 so it can actually optimize. And then literally you review and launch it. That's it. So if any of you have had to deal with the back end of Facebook advertising and the absolute mess that it is, you can see that this is really optimized for you, and again then works algorithmically, which is really nice. And then when you go to your home page, what's really cool is they actually have a calendar running where you can see what ads are existing. So I have a merch and ticket giveaway that had just ended. I have 2 playbooks going. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the old playbook that I tested this with because I just reinstated it. So what you're seeing here, the Spotify growth test run, it says it started today because I reinstated it today because I really liked the results. But I also have another ad going. It's really cool. You can click them. You get really nice statistics as well. You know, it tells you how it's doing, how many cents per follower, how many followers you've gotten, how much it's spent, etc. How it's converting. So that ad is converting 25 cents per follower. Not as tremendous as the last one, but let's click the test run boss battle ad. Let's see how this one's doing. You can see this one's doing a lot better. This one's 11 cents per follower. And now that I can see that, and I can see that it's doing 11 cents per follower, maybe after a few days what I'll do is I'll kind of deem that the other one isn't good enough. I just turn it off and I keep this one going. And it's phenomenal. It's really cool. And what it's doing is it just sends people to your Spotify profile. They hear a song they like, they hear a short video they like, they swipe up, they're on your profile, and if they follow you, it converts and you see this number here. So it's really cool. So that's really, in my opinion, what is the best way to get followers on Spotify in 2020. Once again, this is not an ad. I was not paid to say this. I just feel like I've tested so many different methods. I've spent and wasted a lot of money, and this is the highest conversion rate I've ever gotten, I think, and with the least amount of effort too. It really takes very little effort. And again, you could spend as little as $5 a day, or you could spend as much as you want and get yourself to a number where you can build a career off of it. And that's kind of my intention with this, is now that I know how strong it is, I can run ads on the cheap, way cheaper than I would have if I was trying to figure out the Facebook backend, and it's optimizing that for me, getting me that following until I feel like I've got a career's worth of followers on Spotify. And not only that, those numbers, as they grow, they told me it also snowballs. I haven't had the opportunity to see that because I only had this for 5 days, and now I guess I'm on 6 or 7 now that I started the new ad, but I haven't had enough time to actually see the residual effect. So this is just, I've started, but now that these people have all saved this song, the song I told you got 550 saves, they've all followed my profile, I'm going to start showing up in people's playlists, their algorithm-based playlists like Spotify Weekly or Discover Weekly, for example. I'm going to be showing up on those playlists, and that snowball effect I was telling you in the beginning that's really hard to crack is essentially being cracked for me. Easy peasy. And if you did like this, I'm going to leave a link to ToneDen. I really wanted to just thank them for giving me the pro service and testing this out. I'm really happy with the results, and I recommend you guys try it. There's no harm in trying it. If you don't like it, it's not that much money to test this out and to test out the ads. And I guarantee you, with a good song, a good piece of creative, you will grow on Spotify the best way in 2020. So thanks, guys. I'm Kermode. Go grow those Spotifys. Peace.